This kid slept in a homeless shelter, and now he's one of the most dangerous players in football. That's not a hook. That's the truth. Before Jahmyr Gibbs was warping NFL defenses for the Detroit Lions.
And it's Gibbs on the sweep to the edge. First down and more. Gibbs down the sideline. Gibbs tiptoeing out of bounds with a first down at the 14.
He was a quiet boy from Dalton, Georgia, who genuinely didn't know where he'd sleep at night. And the road from that shelter to a first-round pick, it's wilder than you think. Let me give you that context. Jahmyr Gibbs was born in March of 2002, and from a young age he was raised by his grandmother, Angela Willis. Money was tight, tighter than tight. There were stretches where the two of them stayed in a shelter, leaning on a nonprofit called Family Promise that helps families find food, clothes, and a roof when they've run out of options. Think about that. Before he ever became a star, home was a place that kept changing on him, couch to couch, shelter to shelter. The one constant, the only thing that never moved was a football. That became his anchor, and it's about to become his ticket out. Here's where the story turns. While they were staying in that shelter, Jahmyr and his grandmother met a volunteer named Dusty Ross. It was a small moment, but small moments have a way of changing entire lives. Dusty and her husband Greg started getting close to him, and in 2017, they opened their home for good. They later adopted him. A kid who'd spent years asking himself, where do I go now, finally had an answer. A bed, a family, two parents he'd come to call mom and dad. And it wasn't even his first lifeline. Before the Rosses, he'd stayed for a stretch with the family of a Dalton teammate, quarterback JP, Tig, just so he'd have somewhere steady to land. People kept catching this kid, and he was about to make them all look like geniuses. And before anybody in the comments says, high school stats don't matter, save it. Because what Gibbs did at Dalton High wasn't normal. As a sophomore, he already ran for 897 yards and 10 touchdowns. Then, he just kept climbing. By the time he was done, he'd piled up over 4,800 rushing yards and 70 touchdowns for his career. And his senior season alone was a video game. 2,554 yards and 40 touchdowns. He was named Georgia's 6A Offensive Player of the Year and a first-team All-American. There was even a night under the lights against Harrison High and the #1 recruit in the country, Justin Fields, where the recruiters came to watch Fields and left asking who #1 on Dalton was. That's the kind of player Gibbs was becoming, the kind you can't take your eyes off. So who lands a recruit like this? Here's the surprise. A 4-star back with offers from Ohio State, LSU, Florida, Alabama, and he picked Georgia Tech. A program that was rebuilding, that lost a lot. Most blue-chip recruits never make that call. Gibbs did. And in Atlanta, he became the entire offense. As a freshman in 2020, he ran for 460 yards and added 3 receiving scores. Then in 2021, he exploded 746 rushing yards, 470 receiving yards, plus 589 yards on kick returns with a touchdown. Added up, and that's 1,805 all-purpose yards in a single season, the second most in Georgia Tech history. When the blocking broke down, he made something out of nothing. When the play died, he found daylight anyway. The wins weren't there, but the talent was screaming. After 2 seasons of brilliance buried under losing records, Gibbs had a choice: stay loyal to a system that couldn't showcase him or bet on himself. He transferred to Alabama, and understand what that means. Alabama is wall-to-wall 5 stars. Every practice is a tryout. Every mistake gets magnified. But here's the thing about a kid who already survived the worst life could throw at him. A tough practice doesn't scare him, so he delivered. In his one season in 2022, Gibbs led the Crimson Tide with 926 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns at 6.1 yards a carry. Third best in the entire SEC. He added 44 catches for 444 yards, second most ever by an Alabama running back in a single season. He wasn't Derrick Henry. He wasn't Najee Harris. He was something different entirely, a home run threat every single time he touched the ball. And the league was watching now. Then came draft night, 2023. With the 12th overall pick, the Detroit Lions took Jahmyr Gibbs. And let's be honest, the reaction was mixed. The talking heads shook their heads. Too high for a running back, they said. You don't spend a top 15 pick on that position anymore. You overpaid. And Gibbs? He'd heard every version of that his entire life. Too small, too quiet, too different. But this pick was poetic, and nobody noticed. Detroit, a city that rebuilt itself from the ashes. Jahmyr, a kid who rebuilt his life from nothing. Both overlooked, both counted out, both resilient. The Lions didn't just draft a player, they drafted a mirror of their own story, and the doubters were about to eat every word. His rookie year started slow, and then it detonated. Watch what he became. Gibbs broke tackles, caught passes, and brought a spark to Detroit that the fans hadn't felt in years. He finished as one of the top rookies in football, leading all first-year players in rushing touchdowns and ranking second in rushing yards. He cracked the franchise record book's top 5 among all Lions rookies ever in rushing yards. He made the all-rookie team and earned a Pro Bowl nod in year 1. The kid who once wondered where he'd sleep was now living the dream in front of 65,000 people every Sunday. But here's the part that should genuinely scare the rest of the league. He was just getting started. Now here's the number I promised you. In 2024, Jahmyr Gibbs went supernova. He ran for 1,412 yards, and he did it on just 250 carries, fewer than almost every back ahead of him on the leaderboard, at a blistering 5.7 yards a pop. He scored 16 rushing touchdowns, and his 20 total touchdowns set a Detroit Lions single-season record in a franchise that once had Barry Sanders, and that mark led the entire NFL. Let that sink in. A kid who started in a homeless shelter now owns a touchdown record in one of the oldest franchises in the sport. Through just his first 2 seasons, he'd already climbed into the top 3 in Lions history in total touchdowns. This isn't luck anymore. This is who he is. But this story was never just about touchdowns. Back in Dalton, they retired his high school jersey number, the first Catamount ever to get that honor, and Gibbs turned right back around to give it away. He became an ambassador for a local organization that mentors hundreds of students every year across North Georgia kids who see their own struggle reflected in his. He films videos for them, he donates, he talks to them face to face. The message is simple. He did it, so you can too. There's a perfect symmetry to it. The boy who once depended on a community is now building one. Because for Jahmyr Gibbs, home was never just a roof. It's the people who catch you. So think about what this really is. It was never just a football story. It's a story about what happens when a kid with nothing refuses to stop running. He ran away from instability, but toward hope. He ran through doubt, but toward opportunity. And now he runs for Detroit straight toward greatness. Jahmyr Gibbs didn't follow the blueprint. He wrote his own. He's not just a star running back. He's proof that where you start doesn't decide where you finish. Now, I want to hear from you. How many touchdowns does Gibbs score next season? And is he the best running back in football right now? Drop your prediction in the comments. I read every one. If this story hit you, smash that like button and subscribe, because we've got more of these coming. I'll see you in the next one.